Everybody, it is DarthLord1997 here again, coming to you guys with another video. Now, since it's so cold here in the East Coast as of this video, I thought we'd take a break from the Godzilla franchise and go to the cold, deep reaches of space to tackle another franchise. Specifically, the Alien franchise. That's right, today we are going to be taking a look at the Diamond Select Minimates Alien Crew of the Nostromo 4-pack. The pack comes with Captain Dallas, Engineer Brett, Navigator Lambert, a chestburster, 2 flamethrowers, a facehugger, and of course the original Xenomorph Big Chap. On the back of the packaging we have some nice photos of the figures with their names, and a little description of the pack and the characters that it contains. If you want to pause and read, I will let you, but now let's move on. Here are the main figurines that you get in the package. We will take a look at accessories later, but we're going to look at each of these guys one by one. Let us start with Captain Dallas. Now, for those of you who don't know what Minimates are, since this is the first time I'm looking at Minimates on my channel, let me explain a bit. They are sort of like upscaled Lego minifigures with more articulation and detail, which in my opinion means they're a lot more fun than Lego minifigures, and they're just as easy to customize. You'll see more on how they work through this review, but let's actually now take a real look at Captain Dallas. Looking at the figure alone, you could definitely tell the printing on something about, 2 inches tall is actually pretty awesome. It looks exactly like Captain Dallas from the film. So let's take a look at each individual part. The best part about this figure, in my opinion, is the face printing. How perfectly it captures Captain Dallas's face in that simplistic Minimate style. The hair is also really nicely sculpted. Now, of course, the hair is a separate piece, just like it would be with a Lego minifigure. Now, let's just cover the articulation of Minimates. They have ball joints on their shoulders, have little hinges for their elbows, and their hands are a little pegs, so they can sort of rotate, but that's only because of the peg. It's not really an intended articulation. They have a slight ball joint here on the legs, but it's a little limited on going out and going out. It's really meant for going back and forth. And as you can tell, they have a hinge on their knees, and same thing with their hands with their feet, a little peg, and they can rotate at the waist. Now, back to Dallas. His jacket also has some really nice printing, making it look as realistic as it can in this simplistic style. They remembered the Nostromo logo from the film on the back. His arms have printing on them, which is actually a really big step up from usual Minimates back in the day. You can tell Diamond Select really did a lot of good hard work in making sure this looked as good as possible. Even the leg printing looks amazing. Now sure, the printing does kind of break up when you bend his knee, but you can forgive that for something like a Minimate. There's the legal stuff on the back. Sorry for my bad lipping there. And let us take a look at Captain Dallas's accessory. We found this there. No blood, no Dallas. Yep, those of you who've seen the film will recognize that this is the flamethrower that Captain Dallas used as he crawled in the vents to attempt to trap and kill the creature, but soon found out that the hunter became the prey. Now, the flamethrower design wasn't really that complicated, so while this tiny little piece does look pretty nice, it's not really, I would say it's impressive, yes, but it wasn't really that hard of a task. Now, it does come with a separate piece, this little fire piece that can slide on like that, but as you can see, it kind of sags on the plastic. I kind of wish it came with maybe a stand for display, because if you were going to have this, the Minimate holding it, eventually this thing's going to sag down. Which, I'll admit, that does bother me, but the flame accessory does look nice and is pretty nicely sculpted. Alright, let's move on to Brett. Brett, as viewers of the film will remember, is the engineer of the Nostromo, and was the first to be killed by the Xenomorph, well, after it made its entrance. Again, I won't try to spoil too much if you haven't seen it. But let us take a look at Brett now. Now, I won't be going over articulation again, since it's pretty much the same throughout any Minimate you collect. Well, except for the Big Chap that we'll get to here in a second. But Brett is almost pretty much the exact same as Captain Dallas in terms of sculpt, but just different printing to make him look more like the actor. He has a removable hat with the hairpiece attached to the hat, so you don't have a separate hairpiece for Brett, but I'm fine with that. Now, as you can actually tell, the jackets, if you remove the head off its ball joint, which I forgot to mention, I believe I forgot to mention that with Dallas. If you remove the jacket, you do see there is some printing here on the torso to look like the Hawaiian jacket that he was wearing in the film. And they also added a little extra torso piece to make the shirt look like it's drooping over his waistline, which is really nice attention to detail. Now, the back is just more printing. They really just focus mainly on detail on the front with Minimates. The legs are pretty much the same, and again, the sleeves have printing on them, which is nice. His hand here, I don't know what this peg is for. I looked around at some of the other accessories, but couldn't really find any use for that. But one of Brett's accessories is a regular hand. If we pull this one off and put this regular hand on, there you go, is a regular hand. Another one of Brett's accessories is different arms. He comes with sleeveless arms for his jackets that you can pop in, because since these are ball joints, they're easily able to pop off. A little difficult to pop on if it's brand new, because these are just out of the package. Just pop that on. Now, the hands are not attached. You will have to detach them from these arms and put them on. It's a swap parts gimmick, really. But basically there is Brett with his alternative arms. Alright, let's move on to Lambert. Lambert, as you remember from the film, is the navigator of the USS Nostromo. And she was always the one who was always screaming, panicking whenever something bad was happening, which, in this kind of movie, could you really blame her? Anyways, let's take a closer look at the Lambert Minimate. Now, Lambert's face printing might not look as impressive as Dallas or Brett's, but that's only because, really, she does not have any facial hair, making it look a bit more plain. Now, her hairpiece is also detachable. Give me a sec. Yep. And it does look pretty nice. Her jacket doesn't really have any printing on it, but that's okay. Her jacket didn't really have anything in the movie. Her arms have the same logo that Dallas had on his jacket. However, she has a short sleeve on here. And as for the printing on her torso, it's really just a white, torso with some gray lines to, give the illusion of a stretched shirt, or a folded shirt, really. There is her name tag right there. Her legs are pretty much the same, however, they printed on some special shoes for Lambert, which I think that's pretty nice. Alright, let us take a look at the chest burster and facehugger. Now, the chest burster is a little small, yes. However, if you look closely enough, you can see the sculpting is actually pretty incredible for something of this size. They got every single ridge here on the tail, and even on the bottom of the dome, if we can focus, there's some small detail there. They even sculpted the teeth. And the dome's not entirely clear. There is some sculpting here on the top. Now, for the paint, it's all one solid color. I do wish they added a little bit of red for the blood stains all over this. But then that might have resulted in some quality control issues. I'm not sure, but It has a small little hole here to fit on a peg, but it's really just an accessory. Now moving on to the face hugger. Now, this thing is sculpted pretty well. The little legs here, each little bendable joint is sculpted, which is nice. The tail's wrapped around. The reason it's in this pose we'll get to here in a second. But yeah, for something this small, it's actually not that bad. Even the underside is sculpted with some detail. It's not just one flat plastic. Now, the reason it's shaped like this, if you take another one of your crew member figurines, let's just use Brett here as an example, even though he's not the one who, this happened to in the film. But if you manage to take his head off, this is going to be a little tricky, so I apologize in advance if this looks terrible. If you can slip this on around the neck joint, maybe the better approach would be to fit the head inside and then attach it to the neck joint. There you go. It latches onto one of your crew members' faces just like in the film. Now, since of this on the top, it's a little difficult to put the hat back on here. And this is really just a demonstration. It also comes in the other Alien pack, which enough people have reviewed that I'm not really going to cover it. But now that we got that accessory out of the way, let's take a look at the grand star of the film, or co-star of the film itself. That's right, we are now taking a look at the Minimate of the one, the only, original Xenomorph, nicknamed the Big Chap by the movie crew and the fans. Now, as you can definitely tell from this little spin around, it's definitely structured a lot differently than your typical Minimate. So let's take a closer look. This guy's probably going to take a while. Now, one of the main differences between this and some of the other Minimates is the head sculpt. It's not just a simple round short cylinder piece. They actually took the time to sculpt the actual Xenomorph head, which I am very glad that they did. Trust me, this would have looked awful if they went with the standard Minimate style. Now, the head sculpting itself is absolutely tremendous. They got the sides of the head here absolutely perfect. They got some good teeth sculpting, even though they don't appear to be individually sculpted. And they actually remembered the Big Chap's head. The aliens in the film Aliens have some detail on there, but the original had a translucent clear dome. And as you can tell, you can see its skull underneath, or some skull detail. And even though I really appreciate that they added that, I wish that it wasn't this sand color and black. I wish it was all white, because if you remember from the film, because it was so dark, the translucent hardly worked. It was mostly, almost looked a complete gray on the top. That was just because of the color of the skull reflecting on the translucent dome, which it doesn't really work here. But let's move on to the rest of the body. Let's take apart this Minimate so you can see how it works. So here's the Xenomorph's torso piece, which it's basically this little sculpted accessory that you can put on top around the standard Minimate body. Now, even though it's a bit hard to see, the Minimate body actually does have some printing on it, which is very nice attention to detail. Now, the actual part itself, when you slide it on, it comes with all this detail, the shoulder pads, the back tubes, and the tail is attached here. And if we pick this back up that fell off, this will come separate in the package, so you will have to attach it right here. Now, the top isn't really that sharp, and that's for safety concerns. But, yeah, the sculpting on this is actually pretty fantastic for something this small. It perfectly captures a Xenomorph's body. Now, the little headpiece here is not part of the Minimate torso. It's its own piece that's a part of the chest mold. So let's take a look at some of the other parts. Here is one of the two of the arms that the Xenomorph comes with. This is actually standard Minimate arms with a special hand sculpt rather than the standard one. The arms do have the same printing on them that the standard Minimate body had on this Xenomorph, with the light gray printing on the black. which shows off some pretty good detail. The handpiece, again, if we can remove it, yep, is basically a standard standard alien hand with this little shoulder, elbow piece, sorry, to go across the, again, elbow of the figure. However, if you pay attention to detail like I did, this has 5 fingers. The Big Chap in the original film and in Alien Isolation had 6 fingers. So, yeah, I don't really blame him. That is a very easy thing to miss, but if you pay close attention to the detail like I do, you'll pick up stuff like that. Here's a quick look at the legs. It's basically the standard Minimate legs, black with light gray printing to give off detail. However, instead of the standard Minimate feet, we have these special foot molds to look more like a Xenomorph's foot, and to help it stand a bit taller for scaling. Now, as for the feet, if we can focus, it's basically like a Xenomorph foot, really. The detail, again, is amazing for something this small. These are really nicely detailed figurines. Alright, let's put this guy back together. So overall, the Alien Minimate is really, really awesome. Now, there are some design flaws when they were trying to replicate the first Alien, but despite those, this is still a great treat for Alien fans. Let's take a look at the miscellaneous accessories. You also get 2 very, very small handguns that fit in the Minimate's hands, and an extra set of arms for Captain Dallas that I forgot to show. They are very similar to Lambert's arms, so I'm going to be skipping over these. Alright, let us wrap this up. Overall, this is a really nice pack. It comes with some great figures and some great accessories, including an extra pistol and extra face for Lambert that I forgot to mention, so sorry about that. But yeah, this is a pretty solid pack. This will cost you anywhere around, I don't know, $10 to $20 depending on who's selling it. That's pretty much the price that you should pay for this. If you're looking to get into Minimates, this is definitely a great place to start. It gets you in the mood for Minimates and just shows you what kind of stuff they're capable of. Now, if you bought the other Alien, well, the first Alien movie 4-pack like I did, you got, well, 2 Big Chaps, which isn't really accurate, but you got almost the entire crew of the Nostromo. All you need is Ash, the android. So with that is my first Minimates review. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.